Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Ayiti Booking, aka the Haitian Croissant. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Today I will be talking about things you need to know before traveling to Cap Haitien, Haiti. To be honest, growing up, I did not like traveling to Cap Haitien. That is where I am from. My family is from Cap Haitien. My mother is from Cap Haitien. And it was always just more slow paced than Port-au-Prince. And I always felt like Port-au-Prince had all the liveness, jumpiness, all the good restaurants and whatnot. But ever since the earthquake happened in 2010, I have been going to Cap Haitien more and falling more in love with it. And in the more recent years, since, COVID and, the unrest that there has been in the capital, Cap Haitien has been becoming more jumping. And I've just started to realize that more people are investing in Cap Haitien, and it is just such a lively city with great potential. Today, I'm going to be talking about 6 points that you need to know before traveling to Cap Haitien. Some of you guys have been asking me to give you guys the details of, traveling to the different touristic spots and where I recommend and things like that. So I just wanted to encompass everything into one video for you guys. So let's get going. So first things first, whenever you're traveling to Haiti, I always recommend to travel with $10 in your pocket if you have an American passport or if you were not born in Haiti. This is because as soon as you arrive, they're gonna ask you to pay $10 for your visa, and you don't wanna just have to be rustling and bustling for cash at the airport and in customs. Haiti is all about being discreet about your business, so you just want to be able to just hand that over as fast as you can and just keep it going without, any discrepancies involved. That is my first point. So $10 for your visa to enter the country if you're not Haitian or not born in Haiti with a Haitian passport. Second, tips. Haiti is a tips-based country. A lot of our income comes through tourism and the diaspora, or visitors coming and giving tips and generating cash flow within the country. So a lot of the places you'll be going, you might not necessarily tip this person, say in your home country, or you might not feel the need to tip this person in your home country. Say like if you're at a hotel and there might be a bunch of housekeepers, you might not necessarily to do that. Say if you're in Miami, you're not going to tip all the housekeepers, you might tip one. But in Haiti, it's a custom to tip anybody that you're interacting with for a long period of time. So if you're staying at a hotel for 7 days and that this bartender is always here and this server is always here, at the end of your stay, it is custom to tip these people as much as you possibly can. But yeah, a lot of these people are not really getting paid the amount that they should, or minimum wage is not equal throughout every location that you go to. So tipping people that you have a good interaction with, that are really taking care of you, is super custom in Haiti. And this goes to my third point about Citadel, but just, tipping people what you can. $5 to you might not be nothing, but $5 to, somebody who's been working all day in the sun, whatever, it can go a long way. So always factor in tips when you're traveling to Haiti to give to the people that you're there with. Third point. Actually, I'm gonna skip over to the fourth and come back. So my third tip is OCAP versus Port-au-Prince. All right, so Port-au-Prince is the capital of Haiti. It is the most jumping part of the country. And a lot of people tend to think that that is the only place to travel. So whenever you see the news, most of the time the news is only about Port-au-Prince. And that is a plus and a minus, but most of the time it's a minus because, you might be seeing that there's, gang violence or things like that, or people can't, travel to certain places, and it scares everybody from coming to the country, period. I think it's important to note that OCAP is up here and Port-au-Prince is here. So I'm gonna include a map so you guys can see, but OCAP is here, Port-au-Prince is down here, and this is DR. So the difference between the two cities, right? Port-au-Prince is the capital, and just like anywhere in the world, the capital is gonna be the most jumping part of a country. There's a lot more restaurants, there's a lot more hotels, there's a lot more, food options. There's vegan options in Port-au-Prince, there's vegetarian options in Port-au-Prince. There's just so much to choose from. There's even Asian restaurants and all that, but that's because the capital is always invested in. Like, people always invest in the capital. But now, since there's been so much, insecurities and things like that in the capital, a lot of people are starting to head towards OCAP. And OCAP has always been a popular part of the country as well. In my book, actually, they were calling it the Paris of Haiti, like the Zuzu area of Haiti. And I'm so proud to be from OCAP and have, ancestors from OCAP. But it's always just been a calmer city. It's been the place to go if you want to go to the beach and if you want just a calmer vibe and you just want to take your time and slow down. But with this last trip, y'all, OCAP was jumping. Like, I've never seen OCAP so packed. Like, there were so many people in the streets. There was traffic for like 30 minutes. And it's not that big of a city. But there was traffic, like proper traffic, like Port-au-Prince traffic. I couldn't believe it. So the thing with OCAP is that there's the boulevard, which is like the main strip, and it's facing the ocean, and that is where some of the most jumping restaurants are. The funnest places, I feel. There's a few places within the Ville, of course, but it's mostly residential. But there are little, knickknacks and spots like that. But for people who are, coming from the States or diaspora, I would recommend just chilling on the boulevard or at different hotels. So yeah, that's the difference. Like, in OCAP, everything is kind of centralized in terms of where you'd want to hang out as somebody who is coming from the States or anywhere else outside of Haiti. But of course, if you have, local family or whatnot, you can explore into other areas like Limonade or Vertier and all that stuff. But, the most developed area is the Boulevard and, Carenage area. So that's really the difference. If you're somebody who's always been traveling to Port-au-Prince or traveling to Jacmel or, the areas down south, you might find that OCAP is just a lot slower, but it's growing and people are starting to invest in OCAP, and I'm super excited to see the future of OCAP. I know I plan on investing in OCAP, and we've already started with Camp Aggie Art, but I definitely want to open up business in OCAP. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and as more people continue to venture to the city, I just think it's going to be necessary for the city to grow as well. So my fourth tip, Citadel. All right. Citadel is our huge monument in Haiti. If you have never seen a citadel, here it is. Our King Henri Christophe built the citadel to basically mark as territory and prepare for any French invasion if it ever were to happen again. And it's facing the sea, and you can see anybody that's coming from afar. Like, it is so high up. It is one of the most magnificent places, monuments I've ever been to. And it is just mesmerizing and fascinating to see how our ancestors built this place literally in the side of a mountain. Like, it's not even built on something flat. It's in the side of a mountain, and I just feel like everybody in the world should visit the Citadel, especially anybody from the diaspora. It's just so special. The air is so pure up there. It's clear. Like, you just feel regal. That's the word. You feel regal being up there. So traveling up to Citadel, here's the thing. Depending on who you're going with, you might get different costs, but I'm gonna give you my costs and who I reach out to whenever I'm traveling and want to bring a group of people to Citadel. So I have 2 people. I have Ayiti Booking, which is ran by a good friend of mine, and I have my driver, Chupi, who you can reach out to if you want to get a driver while you're in Haiti. So there's a few costs. So I have it written down. Basically, to get to the Citadel, you have to drive up to a certain point where there is the horses, and then where the horses are, you can either hike up to the top or you can take the horses to Citadel. I personally have never hiked up yet. It is on my list to do one day, but I have not done it yet. So there's 2 ways. So you can, depending on what driver you're going with, you can drive to the horses, but if your driver's not plugged up, they're not gonna let you do that. So you'll have to take a moto, which is a motorcycle, a taxi moto with, you could fit 2 people on the motorcycle up to the horses. And so if you're gonna do the moto, it's gonna cost you $5 US. So that is the first cost. Then, once you get to the horses, you have to pay for the horse as well. Again, all these costs, you pay for these after you have done your tour. So you handle that after your tour. So the horses, right? To rent a horse, it's $10 US. So you wanna have $10. And then you have the horse wranglers. So depending on the day, you might have a bunch of horse wranglers trying to come to you. You might have 3 people trying to be your guide. But honestly, you don't really need more than 2, and sometimes you only need 1, depending on the size of your horse or just the size of you, just the attraction of your group, whatnot. Most, like 2 is regular. So what we do, you always want to tip the horse wranglers because they're doing the walk up and the walk down on foot, and they're making sure your horse doesn't kill you. No, I'm kidding. But they're making sure your horse is, you know, on point. They take pictures of you. They take some super cool pictures like this. And they, you know, they just give you a little bit of the history as you're going up to the Citadel, because it is a bit of a commute. It's about like a 25-minute ride on the horse up and then 25 down. So I typically tip each horse wrangler around 5 US or 6 US if you feel like they're just extra special. And so you don't want to, this is my tip, all right? They're going to talk to you about how difficult their lives are and give you the whole sob story, and it's like, it's true, but they're also making a good amount of tip depending on the amount of people they see per day. So they're gonna give you a sob story. If you have the money to give more, of course, but tip people at the end of your service. So when you get to the top of Citadel, still don't tip them unless you wanna buy them a water bottle or juice or something like that. Tip them after, because they're gonna ask for money again at the end, and you'll be like, dang, but I just tipped you there. And they'll be like, well, I already spent it. And you'll be like, I don't know what to tell you. So tip people at the end of the service. Always tip people at the end of the service. Unless, you know, you just can, if you can give more, give more. But I want to tell you that, like, for things like that, like, tip people at the end, because they're going to expect more after always. And they're going to give you a nice sob story. Like, some of the stories are really good. Like, I've been surprised. But because I've done this many times, I bring people up to Citadel. You know, it's like my 2nd or 3rd time bringing people up to Citadel. So I just know what it is. So you got your moto, which is 5. Entry. So you have to pay an entry fee to get into the Citadel, but you'll basically pay your tour guide your entry fee. So the entry fee is another $10 US. So moto 5, entry 10, horse 10, horse wrangler, if you have 2, 5, another 10. So that's your total right there. And last but not least is the guide. So there are trained guides who give you the full tour, and they give you just like the full description of what's going on. They give you some, depending on your tour guide, they might show you better spots, they might not. And I've had a few give me 2 like different tours every time. So like I try to kind of get a different tour guide every time to see what different, you know, facts they tell me when I'm there. So last year I had a guy named Jaquito. This year I had, I think his name was Franz. I'm so bad, I can't remember his name, but I will find it. And you know, they both showed me 2 different views of Citadel and 2 different stories and things just like I didn't know from both sides. So the guide is $100 for the tour. So depending on the amount of people you have, you want to split that up by 100, or split 100 by the amount of people you have, and then obviously tip the person if they do a good job, if you felt like they were just giving so much knowledge. Again, these guys do this walk up on foot, and they give this tour multiple times a day, and you know, they really dedicate their time to making sure that you understand and feel immersed in the whole Citadel experience. So that is the total cost of Citadel right here to visit, right here. So that is the main, those are the main costs. And with your, you know, entry fee to Citadel, you also get to visit Palais Sans Souci, which is Henri Christophe's palace, and it was, you know, partially destroyed during an earthquake, but there used to be botanical gardens, all the stuff, like super cool back in the day, and that's included in your entry fee to the Citadel. So I think it's super amazing that we have the Citadel to visit, and we have this gorgeous monument to celebrate in Haiti, because with all the, you know, negativity that is shown on the media, it is important that the Citadel and our monuments and, you know, the feats of our ancestors are highlighted as well. And if you guys are interested, I have my Define Haiti t-shirt here that you guys can purchase on my website, and it highlights the Citadel in the back, and I honestly would love anybody to wear this shirt. You don't have to be Haitian to wear this shirt, because truth is truth, okay? And so my last bonus tip is hotel recommendations for Cap Haitien. So Cap Haitien is on the coast. It is very close to the beach, and many of you may have taken a cruise and gone to La Badie, which is the beach that is the closest to Cap Haitien. It's about a 30-minute to 25-minute drive from the city, and those are the 2 areas that you can visit when you're flying into Cap Haitien. So a couple of my hotel recommendations. So in Cap Haitien, I would recommend either staying at Auberge Le Picolet, gorgeous, traditional looking hotel, delicious food. It's a little on the pricier side in terms of food, like American prices, you know, like you're not paying street food prices, you're paying American prices for a meal, but gorgeous, gorgeous decor, like unreal. I'll insert a clip for you guys. Second, I'll definitely recommend Satama. Satama is one of the newest hotels and the closest standard to what you would, you know, call a Marriott, or closest American standard if you want. It's not very Haitian in my opinion. I like some of the traditional Haitian places because it makes you feel like you're in Haiti. Like, I think there's a way to do modern but also incorporate Haitian aspects into it. They definitely incorporated it in some of the decor, but in terms of just the architecture and stuff, it's very not Haitian. But gorgeous place, great AC, great drinks, and it's super high up in the mountains. So if you don't have a driver, that is something you want to consider, because taxis will charge you more for driving up there. Then I would say Montjoly. So Montjoly Hotel is another classic Haitian hotel that has a restaurant as well, has a pool. The last two have, the Satama has a pool and Montjoly has a pool. Le Picolet does not have a pool, but it's on the boulevard, so you're really just like super close to everything that's needed. And yeah, Montjoly's a classic Haitian hotel as well. Actually, some of my grandfather's pieces are still in there, and I think it's just a gorgeous hotel to visit, and it's also on the way up to Satama. There are a few more hotels in the city, but those are my top 3 recommendations for the city. Now, if you want to stay at the beach, at the moment, there's a few hotels that are still functioning, but my favorite is Comier. So Comier Plage Resort, it is the cutest little boutique resort hotel. Again, a lot of these places were built in the 60s, 70s, 50s, and they still have that same infrastructure, so you're getting a real old-timey feel. It's not super modern, but the food is great, the bartenders are great, the service is great, and you're right on the beach. So I think it's completely worth it to go to Comier. There's a couple other places like Le Trois, which is new. There's a couple little boutique villas and whatnot, but if you're coming to Haiti for the first time, I want to, implore you to go to the sure hotels that I'm telling you. Yeah, I think that's it. I stayed this trip, I stayed at Ecologic, which is a nice hotel. Like, the aesthetic is nice. However, management needs to get it under wraps. The food is delicious, like one of the best cooks ever, but there's something about management that is honestly an issue across the nation, across the country. Some places do not have good management, and when you don't have good management, your employees don't really feel the need to have any urgency or whatnot. And honestly, that's tip number 7. When you're in Haiti, have patience, because when it comes to service, like, if you think that service in France or Europe is like so slow, Haiti's a few decimals even slower than that. So just have patience. It is a bit frustrating, but it just shows how much training still needs to be done in the country, and how much, management just needs to improve upon training their staff. And finding, good, loyal staff is something that's hard in the country and that people are working on. But I think it's super important to be patient while you're there, because you're not gonna get the fast American service like at all. You're definitely just not gonna get that. Like, I'm gonna be honest about it. But the food's gonna be good. You're gonna forget how long you waited for anything, and you're gonna have just a great time. The vibes are always nice. The rum punch always good. Rum sour always good. Anything fresh juice good. So I just love that OCAP is getting the love that it deserves, and people are coming to the north, and it's making me realize that I don't always have to go to Port-au-Prince to have a good time when I'm in Haiti, because you can get a bit of history, you get a bit of relaxing, you get a bit of, vibes as well. And yeah, everything you need is on the boulevard, guys. Everything you need is on the boulevard, from the end to the top. You have the tourist market, you have Boucanier, you have Guog, you have Lacaille, you have Picolet, you have Leia Market, a market, American style market. Everything, there's a tourism market. Everything is on the boulevard. So when you get to OCAP, just ask where the boulevard is, and you'll see everything. Be safe. So yeah, I hope you guys all travel to OCAP. OCAP is Cap Haitien, okay? And OCAP is OKAP, not OCAP. So that's how people know if you're really Haitian or not. No, sir, but I implore you guys all to travel to OCAP, travel to Haiti. It is safe. Unfortunately, the only flights are Spirit at the moment, but from Florida to Haiti, it's only an hour and a half. It goes by in a jiffy, and nobody's pressed about you. Nobody's pressed about Americans. Nobody's worried about Americans. Nobody's really worried about celebrities. Like, people in OCAP will just look at you like you're regular, and I love that. And it's that girl. So you guys be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if you want any more tips about traveling to Haiti, and traveling specifically to Cap Haitien, since that's where I've been traveling the most as of lately. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video.